You chase your desires, believing they hold the key to happiness, right? That promotion, that relationship, that perfect possession. Surely that will be the thing that finally brings lasting contentment. But what if this relentless pursuit, this very engine of your ambition and your dreams, is not your ally, but your greatest tormentor? What if your own desires are, in fact, your worst enemy? A cruel trickster promising satisfaction but delivering only a fleeting reprieve before plunging you back into the cycle of wanting. This isn't a New Age platitude. It's the cold, hard, and profoundly unsettling diagnosis of the human condition delivered by one of philosophy's most famously pessimistic, yet surprisingly insightful thinkers, Arthur Schopenhauer. He looked at the world, at human striving, at the endless pageant of hope and disappointment, and saw not progress or purpose, but the relentless, blind, and ultimately futile thrashing of an insatiable force he called the will to live. And its favorite playground? Your own heart, your own mind, your own unceasing desires. So, are you prepared to confront Schopenhauer's dark truth? Are you willing to consider that the very thing you believe drives you towards happiness might be the primary architect of your suffering? It's a bleak vision, no doubt. But within Schopenhauer's unflinching gaze, there might also lie a strange kind of liberation, a hidden path to a peace that transcends the endless hunger of our desires. Let's explore if your desires are indeed your worst enemy. Arthur Schopenhauer, writing in the early 19th century, presented a philosophy that starkly contrasted with the optimistic currents of his time. For him, the fundamental reality of the universe isn't reason or spirit or God, but something he termed the will, or more specifically, the will to live. This will is not a conscious individual will like yours or mine. It's a blind, irrational, ceaseless striving, an all-encompassing metaphysical force that underpins everything in existence, from the growth of a plant to the orbit of planets, and, most importantly, to every impulse, instinct, and desire that animates human beings. You think you choose your desires? Schopenhauer would argue that your desires are merely individual manifestations of this universal will. It's the will expressing itself through you, compelling you to strive, to procreate, to compete, to seek pleasure, to avoid pain, all in service of its own endless, unthinking perpetuation. We are, in essence, puppets of this cosmic force, deluded into thinking our individual goals and cravings are our own invention, leading to our own happiness. And here's Schopenhauer's dark truth. Because the will is an insatiable, endless striving, and we are its instruments, our lives are inevitably characterized by suffering. Desire, by its very nature, implies a lack, a deficiency. When a desire is unfulfilled, we experience pain, frustration, longing. But what happens when a desire is fulfilled? Do we find lasting happiness? No, says Schopenhauer. At best, we get a momentary satisfaction, which quickly fades, only to be replaced by one of two things: a new desire, a new itch to scratch, or, if no new desire immediately arises, a state of profound, listless boredom. Life, for Schopenhauer, is like a pendulum swinging back and forth between pain and boredom, with only fleeting moments of illusory satisfaction in between. We are constantly chasing a carrot that, even when caught, turns to dust in our mouths, or simply makes us realize we want a different carrot. This endless cycle of desire, temporary satiation, and renewed desire, or boredom, is the fundamental rhythm of a life governed by the will. And because the will itself is aimless, just a blind urge to be, our individual lives, driven by its dictates, are also ultimately without inherent purpose or lasting fulfillment in this worldly sense. It's a bleak diagnosis indeed. But if this is the case, if our desires are truly our worst enemy, condemning us to this Sisyphean cycle of suffering and boredom, is there any escape? Is there any solace to be found in Schopenhauer's philosophy? Or is it just a counsel of despair? Surprisingly, Schopenhauer does offer paths, not to permanent happiness in the conventional sense, but to a temporary quieting of the will, moments of respite from its tyranny, and perhaps, for a very few, a more lasting peace. The first path is aesthetic contemplation. When we immerse ourselves in the experience of art, be it painting, sculpture, poetry, or for Schopenhauer, the highest art form, music, something remarkable can happen. For a moment, we can transcend our individual, will-driven perspective. We stop seeing things in terms of how they relate to our desires. Is it useful? Can I own it? Does it threaten me? And instead become a pure, will-less subject of knowledge, simply contemplating the eternal forms or ideas expressed in the artwork. In these moments of aesthetic absorption, the relentless striving of the will is temporarily stilled, and we experience a profound, albeit fleeting, sense of peace and release from suffering. Music, in particular, he believed, was a direct copy or objectification of the will itself, allowing us the most profound insight and liberation. The second path involves ethical compassion or sympathy, Mitleid. Schopenhauer observed that if we look deeply into the lives of others, we recognize the same relentless, suffering will at work in them as it is in ourselves. This recognition of shared suffering, this intuitive understanding that the torment of others is fundamentally our own torment manifested in another form, can break down the illusion of our egoistic separation. When we act out of genuine compassion, helping others and alleviating their suffering, we are, for a moment, denying the will's primary urge for self-assertion and individual gratification. This ethical act provides a temporary relief from the ego's demands and connects us to a more universal understanding. However, the most radical path, and for Schopenhauer, the only one that offers a chance of more lasting deliverance from the will, is asceticism, or the denial of the will to live. This is the path of nolition, or will-lessness, often found in Eastern philosophies like Buddhism and Hinduism, which deeply influenced Schopenhauer. It involves a conscious turning against the will's dictates through practices like voluntary poverty, chastity, fasting, and a deliberate detachment from all worldly desires and pleasures. By systematically starving the will, by refusing to engage in its strivings, one can achieve a state of resignation and tranquility, a profound peace that comes from the will finally falling silent within. This is not an easy path, and Schopenhauer acknowledged that few are capable of it, but he saw it as the ultimate salvation from the inherent suffering of existence. So, what can we, in our modern, desire-driven world, take from Schopenhauer's admittedly bleak yet strangely liberating diagnosis? We may not be ready for full-blown asceticism, but his philosophy offers powerful tools for reflection. It encourages us to understand the nature of our desires, to recognize that chasing one desire after another is unlikely to lead to lasting happiness, and to perhaps become more discerning about which desires we choose to pursue. It highlights the value of aesthetic experience and compassion. seeking out moments of deep engagement with art, or practicing genuine empathy and kindness can provide real, tangible relief from our own egoistic struggles and connect us to something larger than ourselves. It offers a critique of relentless striving. In a culture that often glorifies endless ambition and material accumulation, Schopenhauer reminds us of the potential emptiness of such pursuits and the suffering they can entail. Perhaps true wisdom lies not in getting everything we want, but in wanting less or wanting differently. Ultimately, Schopenhauer's dark truth isn't just about despair. It's about seeing reality clearly without illusion. And in that clarity, even if it's stark, there's a profound opportunity to find a different kind of peace. Not the fleeting high of satisfied desire, but the quiet strength of understanding, detachment, and perhaps a will that has finally learned to rest. What are your thoughts on Schopenhauer's philosophy? Do you believe our desires are our worst enemy? Have you found moments of peace through art, compassion, or a conscious detachment from your own strivings? Share your experiences and insights in the comments below. If this journey into the challenging world of Schopenhauer has resonated with you, please give this video a like, subscribe to One Pixel Soul for more philosophical explorations that dare to confront the uncomfortable truths, and hit that notification bell. If suffering stems from clinging to desires in a world of relentless striving, what if the very fabric of that world is constant, inescapable change? Next time, we explore a philosopher who saw eternal flux as the fundamental nature of reality. Can embracing impermanence truly set us free, or will it simply break us apart? Join us as we delve into the enigmatic wisdom of Heraclitus. Thank you for confronting the darkness with us today. See you in the next one.